What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the All Net Podcast. This is episode 4. I am your host, MIC LOGIK, and I am here with the legendary, loquacious, lovable, lusty Leo himself, I.DEAL.
Guilty as charged. If being fly was a crime, I'd be looking at 25 to life.
Now look, you get that grand intro because this is your birthday week. I don't want you to get comfortable thinking that I'm going to be giving you this grand intro every week.
Well, last week you called me your best friend.
Lies! Another week has gone by and you're still my best friend. So, this is going to be I.DEAL's birthday show because his birthday is on July 28th. So, I've decided to dedicate this show to your birthday. Congratulations.
So, what's my actual gift? I get to sit here and edit this?
You get to talk basketball with me. Like, what better gift would somebody want?
I could think of a couple offhand, but...
So, we got a great show lined up as always. We're going to get into the latest NBA news. We're going to give out our NBA regular season awards.
LeBron. Is that all you're going to do? What's the even point of this segment? You're just going to be over there slurping up LeBron.
You know what? We haven't even started this show and the shots are already being fired. Bang, bang, bang. And we also have a great interview coming up later in the show with former Northwestern point guard Juice Thompson. You're definitely going to want to stick around for that. And to top it off, we have another great producer in the spotlight. He goes by the name of DREAMTEK. He represents 7 Oddities Records. You can follow DREAMTEK at DREAMTEK7, spelled Tech, T-E-K 7 on IG, or go to 7odds.com, 7ODDZ.com. As always, the All Net Podcast is brought to you by the good folks at Shy Native Entertainment.
Shy Native, baby.
In partnership with True Chicago Sports Fans. You can follow Shy Native Entertainment on Facebook at Shy Native Entertainment, as well as True Chicago Sports Fans at True Chicago Sports Fans, the greatest sports page on Facebook, especially when it comes to Chicago sports. Check them out, become a part of the community, and talk sports with us. So let's get right into it. We got some great NBA news. The best news is that the league is resuming this week. Thursday, we're going to start out at 5:30 p.m. with the Utah Jazz versus Zion and the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I say Zion because he is quarantining. You know, when I was writing up this script earlier in the week, Zion was outside of the bubble. He was attending a family matter, and he was getting COVID tests every single day. And people took that as, well, Zion must have COVID. That's why they got him outside of the bubble, and he's getting tested every day. That's not it at all, right?
No, not at all. I mean, if he's getting tested every day, it's just to stay at top of, any precautionary signs that he might be affected with the illness and whatnot. But it's obviously with the intent to return back to the bubble and play once he's past whatever personal situation he has to get through.
Exactly. They just want to make sure that when they bring him back to the bubble, he is 100% without COVID. And then at 8 p.m., we have what I feel might be the Western Conference Finals, a preview of it at least. We get the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Los Angeles Lakers.
LeBron, huh, Michael?
Yes, we get to see KL, PG, AD, and LBJ go at it. And I have a feeling this is going to be similar to a playoff type atmosphere because, LeBron plays hard every single game.
Yeah, that's what he says.
But none of this is possible without a safe environment for the players, for the teams, for the staff. So we have to give credit to Adam Silver, the COVID disease experts he has on the panel, the NBA Players Association. Whatever they have done so far has been working, and I was skeptical. I was very excited. But in the latest round of mass testing, 346 players got tested, and guess what? None of them have COVID.
Well, it seems like what you're trying to say then, the bubble has been effective, and hopefully that continues to be the case, that there's no infections and play can continue throughout the ending of the regular season as well as into the playoffs without further incident.
Yeah, and they just got into this bubble basically. But the whole point is that nobody there right now has COVID. So there should be no reason that anybody gets COVID as long as they can contain, everybody in there.
Oh, that's a great world to try to live in, Michael. I don't know if it's possible, but
I think the players understand what they're up against, though.
Oh, yeah? They understand so much that Lou Williams is running out to a gentleman's club in the middle of quarantine?
Okay, I think most of the players understand what they're up against. And look, Lou Williams had to attend. He had a family member who passed. what better way to, help ease the pain than go to a strip club? I don't blame Lou Williams for going to the strip. He had a mask on. He got to party with what's poppin', Jack Harlow.
Jack Harlow said that was old, though. That was just putting up a throwback of him and Lou. So who knows? We don't know where the true story lies, but neither here nor there.
So I was fooled. We got to see what the court looks like.
We have some breaking news.
We got to see what the court looks like. To me, it looks like a very fancy gymnasium. Jordan, my son, said it reminded him of an AAU style court. I think it's more of like summer league on steroids. What do you think?
Is the hoop 10 feet?
Hoop is 10 feet.
Is the court 94 feet?
I haven't taken my measuring tape.
But it all comes back to the same dimensions, right?
And the whole point,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, and look, these games could have been played on Venice Beach. They could have been played at the Rucker. Hell, they could have been played at a church gym for all I care. Is the game going to be broadcasted? Do we get to watch these masters of their craft go at it and display their great basketball skills? Then yes, I don't care where they played.
Man, you got to put it away right now. It's showing.
The basketball Woody is out. Sorry, folks. So another part that we need to bring up about this court is right around half court, a little bit off to the side, there is a Black Lives Matter gesture, symbol emboldened on the court. And this goes back to the NBA talking about how they were going to speak up about social issues and they were going to stay committed to that. And so far, they've held up their end of the bargain somewhat. They had those messages approved for jerseys. They were pretty...
You mean like pre-approved though?
Yeah, they were pre-approved.
They didn't let you just put anything.
It wasn't really what the players wanted to say, I'm sure, but it was something that the NBA thought, okay, that's okay. We'll allow that. But just as long, just as the NBA is continuing to speak up on these social issues, the players have definitely spoken their minds. Paul George dedicated a whole press conference to Breonna Taylor, calling out for justice for her. Tobias Harris called out the Attorney General in one of his press conferences and told the Attorney General to arrest Breonna Taylor's killers. There's been multiple players tweeting out about justice for Breonna Taylor. So they continue to speak their minds, and this is further proof that you can play basketball and you can also have light shed on the issues that you want to address. So props to them. And also the NBA PA has partnered with Russell Westbrook's clothing line. I believe it's called the Art Department. And they are designing social justice shirts for all the NBA players. And they will contain messages on the shirts that the NBA did not approve for the jerseys, such as systemic racism, police reform, I can't breathe, no justice, no peace, break the cycle, strange fruit, by any means, power to the people, equality, and am I next? So props to Russell Westbrook and the NBA PA. The players continue to use their platform. Like, what better way to be heard? You have the whole world watching and listening. What better way to have your message heard than on the NBA platform?
And I think they do a good job, the NBA, with allowing their players to be more expressive as opposed to certain other entities like the pigskin. They're a little more constrictive and restrictive on what you might be able to get away with. And I feel the NBA does a good job of recognizing who their actual audience is and the players that play for them and being sympathetic to at least hear them out and express themselves in that regard.
And I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's factually based if I say the NBA is the best organization when it comes to run sports programs. As far as they have the best commissioner, they listen to their players, and I feel like Adam Silver is the most fair commissioner of all of them. So the NBA I.DEAL, they finally started their tune-up games, their scrimmage games. And man, some of the teams look really rusty, like they hadn't picked up a ball in 6 months. Some of them didn't miss a beat. I got to watch the Mavericks versus Lakers. Surprise, surprise. And Kristaps Porzingis looks like he's in great shape. He's been keeping his body in great shape. Let's hope he stays healthy. Luka is taking his game to another level, it seems like, this season. I see him continuing to do that as the playoffs will start and go on. And LBJ and AD, they didn't look like they had any rust on them either. So I was really excited about that. The Brooklyn Nets got demolished by the Pelicans. So like I'm saying, there's some teams that look like they haven't played ball in months. Others look like they have been continuing to play ball as this stoppage is going on. And during these scrimmages, there's been one player that has been talked about the most. And it's stolen the show. And it's not LeBron.
It's Boban.
It's not Boban. It's not Giannis. It's not
Oh,
Kawhi.
I know who it is. Then it's Bol Bol.
Bol Bol, the son of Manute Bol. For those who know that name, Manute Bol, he was tall enough to where Big L was able to make a great punchline about his height. I got a crime record longer than Manute Bol. Yes, Bol Bol. He made his NBA debut in a preseason game, and he showed out. He put up a double-double. He scored 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 blocks in 32 minutes. This is his first bit of NBA action. So, what a way to go out and showcase why you should have been a lottery pick. So, Bol Bol, for those who don't know, he played at Oregon. He's a 7'2" center hybrid.
Yep.
Kind of reminds me of the way he plays, kind of like Kevin Durant, because
He's got a 7'9" wingspan.
extremely tall, and he's athletic too. He was pulling up on the break from 3. He was driving the ball down the court, slamming it. He's showing you a handle. He can handle the ball. Bol Bol's definitely very, very impressive. Now,
There was one stretch of highlight where he went and blocked a field goal attempt, grabbed it, and then dribbled it up the court and then shot a 3.
so very much reminding me of Kevin Durant, and I'm not saying that he's going to continue this level of play, and that was a fluke or anything like that. I'm just saying I think he could be a very good contributor to the Denver Nuggets.
So, after that first game, he scored 16 on Saturday. 15 on Saturday against New Orleans as well.
Yes. So, Bol Bol can definitely play. In the last 20 years, he's the only rookie that registered at least 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks in a preseason game.
This shouldn't be too surprising because if you were a fan of the college basketball and you watched him at Oregon, like at the beginning of that year, he was dominant. He was putting up 20 plus with ease.
He was projected to be a lottery pick.
Exactly.
So,
The only thing that got him was the simple fact that he almost had that kiss of death that happens to all big men is when you start having foot problems.
he had that same injury that ended Yao Ming's career. He was supposed to go somewhere in between 5 and 10, and he slid all the way to 44 in the draft. And I believe Miami drafted him. They then traded him to the Denver Nuggets, I think for just a little bit of cash. And Denver was able to stash him away, just like they did with Michael Porter Jr. So you get both those guys healthy and you put them in the mix and they're contributing big minutes as well as healthy contributions. Denver might be a championship contender next season.
They had the pieces, especially with Jamal Murray. And then you got your boy, the big guy,
The Joker.
the Joker.
And did you see that after he had this stellar NBA debut performance in the preseason games, the NBA was kind enough to give him a drug test?
Yeah, I did see that, and it's not surprising. And you should almost be like, I guess a part of you would be a little offended, and then the other part be like, yeah, that was kind of a superhuman performance I just gave.
So I got a scenario for you. Let's say you're a young NBA talent. You're waiting for your moment to break out. And your sister's about to get married while you're in this bubble. But you know that you're going to play big minutes and you're going to be a big part of this team. And this is your chance. And you love your sister. Do you leave that bubble to go to her wedding in Texas? Or do you stay and try to help your team win a championship and not lose out on those minutes or opportunities?
There's only so many opportunities in life to where you get to experience something as monumental as a wedding for your sister. I mean, putting aside the fact, statistically speaking, most 50% of marriages will fail anyways.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
No, but I think at the end of the day, I would maybe, with technology, get something to where, like, can I still be there, like, virtually, put up an iPad or something. And I would like to think my sister or my sibling, it could be the other way, myself, would be understanding enough to realize, hey, this is something that my sibling has worked for their whole life, and this is what they're passionate about. Would I love you to be there at my special day? Of course, but I also understand you have a job to do, and by all means, go do that job, and we'll be here. We'll be good. So I think if it was in my case, yeah, I probably would have missed it as well and went to the game because I think my sibling would have been cool with the fact that I was there playing.
So I bring that up because Alex Caruso was in that same situation. His sister's getting married or got married in Texas. He decided to stay because he knows, one, he's in this bubble. If he leaves this bubble, he's going to be under.
So Michael, would you have gone to the game or not? Gone to the wedding or not?
No, I'm not going to the wedding, especially after I know that Rondo and Avery Bradley aren't there, and this is my big chance to play a lot of minutes. And plus, if you go by the numbers, there's not a better duo in basketball right now than LeBron and Caruso. When they share the floor, they work just as well as anybody else, or even better. So
well, you'll get the opportunity to see what the fruits of their labor shall produce. What's next, Mike?
So last episode, we were talking about Tom Thibodeau, and the New York Knicks had him tabbed as their next coach. And then as the days went by, contract negotiations must have fizzled out, and then all of a sudden Jason Kidd becomes the front runner. That's what was being reported. Well, just as of last Saturday, it looks like Tom Thibodeau is going to be the coach of the New York Knicks. He's finalizing a 5-year deal with the New York Knicks. Once again, do you feel that is the right hire for this team at this point in time?
I think the one thing when you get Thibodeau, you're going to get accountability. And with the organization as it's set up from top to bottom, it's been like a rudderless organization. So I do think the stability that he brings immediately walking through the door could only be a benefit to the organization improving. Now, I don't know if him coming in is going to be enough to attract top tier level free agents, because New York being the Mecca that it is and one of the entertainment hubs around the world, they, for a lack of better words, have not been able to attract anybody of notoriety. So that remains to be seen. But if you're bringing Thibodeau in simply to turn this whole thing around, then yes, I think he's going to be fine there.
I'll say this. I think the best hires that they've had, and Thibodeau is not one of them, is Leon Rose and Worldwide West. Because Leon Rose is a super agent. Worldwide West is completely connected to these players. He's got the players' pulse. And he has their ear too. So we'll see if they can bring in some top tier talent for Thibodeau. I don't think that Thibodeau is the right coach for this situation. I feel like they could have went a little younger. Someone who might be a little bit more offensive minded, and just the person's style of coaching fits the players a little better. Not so rough edged or hard ass as we always say. So I'm skeptical on this. I'm going to give it 2 years that Tom Thibodeau's coaching the New York Knicks.
Wow, that's a hot take.
And finally, for NBA news, I didn't want to talk about it. I'm going to be honest with you, I.DEAL. I really don't want to talk about this, but I feel like we have to. It's our job, especially being here in Chicago. But what is going on with the Chicago Bulls and Jim Boylen?
It appears that he is not going to be fired. And it appears the team is willing to double down on him and give him the opportunity to coach the roster in which they will be constructing shortly.
Let's hear how Daniel Gafford feels about Coach Boylen. He all right. I don't like him a lot, but he's okay. He got some things he can work on. Got some things he could be better at as a person and as a coach. But I'm not going to hate on him. Not going to hate the man, but Yes, we know, Daniel. We know that is you saying, please get rid of this guy. That's what I took from it. I don't know how else you construe it any other way than please fire this man immediately. But I'll give this to the front office, Arturis and Mark Eversley. I feel like this might be a part of their culture change, especially how they treat people. They didn't just come in the front office and start wielding the axe and saying, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. Arturis said he's going to give Jim a shot. He wants to see him up close and personal and evaluate the man. There's a lot of people around in the league, that have a lot of bad feelings towards the Bulls organization as far as how they treat people. Rick Carlisle was telling coaches, you don't even want to go to Chicago. You want no part of that.
You're burying the lead. What this essentially goes back to is the simple fact, as a general manager, once I pick my head coach to coach this team, I immediately start the clock on myself. What this allows him the opportunity to do is not start the clock, evaluate the roster and see how he coaches them. And then eventually when he gets to the point where he's going to fire him, because it's going to happen, then he can pick his coach and then he can start the clock on himself. So he buys himself a couple, like maybe a half a season.
And this is kind of how I see things too. Do they know if they want to trade Zach LaVine right now? Because if they do want to trade Zach LaVine, because Zach LaVine was quoted as saying that if Jim Boylen comes back next year as the head coach, he wants to be traded. He was demanding a trade. Okay, so are they planning on already trading Zach LaVine and then keeping Boylen just to see how he does with this roster? Because this is what I don't understand about Boylen. He should have the pedigree, right? I don't think Boylen's basketball knowledge...
Based off what?
All right, so he was on the Rockets staff for 11 seasons under Rudy Tomjanovich, and they won 2 NBA titles.
Okay.
Then he went to some other teams. Then he got on Pop's staff and won another championship. So he's won.
I could put you in a class with Einstein and take an art class with Michelangelo or Da Vinci. Doesn't mean you're going to come out with that skill set.
But there's a reason that he filled a seat on that coaching staff. They obviously felt like he knows the game, or he can contribute somehow as far as his basketball knowledge goes. They're not just hiring because, hey, that's a nice guy. Let's put him on the staff.
What do you mean? There's never in the history of hiring people has there been nepotism or the simple fact that everyone knows.
Seasons?
Everyone knows in life. Most of the time, you don't get the job because you're qualified. It's because of who you know.
11 seasons as a Rockets assistant coach, and then you end up on my favorite coach's coaching staff, and then you become an assistant coach of the Bulls. You have to watch Fred Hoiberg. You wait your time out, and then you get hired by the Bulls. Now, this is what I don't understand about the Bulls. They hired him. He had some.
They never needed to extend him.
That's
what you were trying to get at.
That's my point. Yeah, they never had to extend. Well, I was gonna say they went on some streaks. As soon as they got out of Porter, they went on some winning streaks. But there was no need to go out there and the league was not saying that Jim Boylen is the next hot candidate for a coaching position. There was no need that no one was coming in and swooping him away from you. So once again, that's another Gar and Pax blunder right there.
Yeah, you didn't need to immediately re-sign him right out the gate.
So we'll see how this goes. Like I said, I respect Arturas and Mark Eversley in the front office for giving the man a chance. But come on, you know what you need to know about him, right? All right, so that's going to do it for the NBA news. We'll be right back after this quick break. We're going to talk about our NBA season awards, and we're going to give them out. So don't go anywhere. This is the All Net Podcast with Mike Logic and I.DEAL. We'll be right back. Peace. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the All Net Podcast. Now we're going to give out our NBA awards. I know I.DEAL is very excited about this. He's studied night and day. He's known who he wants to give his awards to. But we're going to start out with the coaches and the executives. The people off the court making the difference. And we're going to start with the executive of the year. Now, originally I wanted to give it to Sam Presti, the GM of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The man seems to know talent. He drafts talent. He's had a lot of talent go through his organization. He traded away Paul George, Russell Westbrook, got in return CP3, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who I think is going to be a stud in this league, as well as Danilo Gallinari. And Gallinari, his talent's not a question. It's just his durability and being available. But there's an executive who I felt did just a little bit more and is a little bit more deserving of this award, and it's none other than old slick hair himself, Pat Riley. Pat Riley of the Miami Heat. So, first of all, they acquired Jimmy Butler through a sign and trade. They traded Josh Richardson and a 2023 first-round pick to Philadelphia. And Butler seemed to really mesh with Spoelstra and this team. He's kind of been hit or miss with Minnesota and Philadelphia. He didn't really fit in. But here, he's the unquestioned leader. They look up to him. They really respect him. And I feel like Miami has a very good veteran presence because of him and Goran Dragic, who they're able to bring off the bench for a nice scoring lift. They drafted your boy Tyler Hero.
Yes.
They hit on undrafted Duncan Robinson, who is one of the league's best outside shooters, and he also starts for them. They got rid of Whiteside, And that made way for Bam Adebayo to really shine and have an all-star season. They picked up unsigned rookie sensation Kendrick Nunn. Got to show him hometown love. He's a Chicago kid. Played at Illinois. Having a great season. Consideration for Rookie of the Year for sure. They were able to offload the contracts of Deion Waiters and James Johnson for a combined $28.7 million. And that gave way for them to be able to sign Andre Iguodala. And I know when you hear that name, it's not a sexy name, especially at this point in his career. But he's able to give them another defensive presence. So I think that's a good signing for them. Pat's been a busy man.
What about our guy over there in New Orleans? You talk about David Griffin. He did a wonderful job flipping AD and getting back Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, who's finally taken off, that I've always thought was a great player.
And Josh Hart for a bench presence. I think that trade has worked out for both the Lakers and New Orleans, especially in the directions that they were going. Next is Coach of the Year. And there's many great candidates for Coach of the Year. You got Mike Budenholzer over there in Milwaukee. You got Billy Donovan at OKC, Nate McMillan in Indiana, Taylor Jenkins, who's the coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. But there's been one guy who stood out to me more than the rest.
She got ties to Drake.
Drake sits pretty close to him. Yes, it's Nick Nurse of the Toronto Raptors. That's my pick.
That's what I was seeing.
46-18 and second in the East after losing Kawhi. Danny Green is gone. He's gone on to the Lakers. Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka, both integral parts of their team, have both missed significant minutes. Pascal Siakam, he continues to ascend to stardom. Another all-star type season, as well as Kyle Lowry. Their last 25 games before the shutdown, they went on a winning streak of 15 games. They finished those 25 games 21-4. That's the Coach of the Year right there. I don't think anybody should argue that.
I love arguing with you for the sake of arguing, but in this instance, I will not. And I will also go with Nick Nurse as well as Coach of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, I.Deal. Who do you think it is? I think it's a no-brainer.
It's gotta be Ja Morant.
It's definitely Ja Morant. Morant exploded on the scene. He's averaging 17 points as well as dishing out 7 assists. His team is on the way to the playoffs. They just have to hold on to this final 8 spot, and they'll be in the playoffs. Taylor Jenkins, like we just discussed, is a possible Coach of the Year candidate. Now, had Zion played more games?
Yes, that would be the...
Had he played more games?
That's the big caveat.
He would have definitely had something to say, because in the small sample size that we saw him play, he averaged 23 points, 7 rebounds while shooting 58%.
But that was only in 19 games.
So it's too small of a sample size, so Ja Morant has to be the Rookie of the Year.
Morant, 17.6 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 6.9 assists a game.
Mm-hmm.
You're impacting the game on so many levels other than just from scoring.
And he looks like a future star out there. He's definitely must-see basketball.
It always goes back to that question where I'm always like, how did that player end up at the college he ended up? Like, how did you miss? Where were the talent evaluators? Was it just a late bloomer? Or it just completely everyone didn't see it and he proved them all wrong?
And Dame Lillard going to Weber State, you know, players eventually sometimes just come out of nowhere and they evolve and they develop to the point where they're undeniably one of the best players at their position. So next we're going to go to the Sixth Man of the Year. Or I should say the Lou Williams Award. Because Lou Williams is always in the running, and once again, he's in the running this year. Montrezl Harrell's having another great season, even better than last year, and he's more than a deserving candidate for this award. You can make a case for D Rose if you want, but I got to go with the guard in Oklahoma City, Dennis Schroeder.
Schroeder, huh?
Schroeder. He's having his best season as a pro, I feel. He did average 19 in Atlanta, but those were just empty numbers, and that team was going nowhere. This team is in the 5th spot. They have a 3-guard lineup with him, CP3, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that's really deadly and very fun to watch. He is averaging 19, grabbing 4 boards, dishing out 4 assists while he's shooting 47% from the field and just a little bit over 38% from the 3. So he's being very efficient.
I hear you, and there is a gentleman that I feel has a better resume to claim lay to the sixth man of the year. And for me, I'm going to have to say it's Montrezl Harrell.
He was my second pick.
He's averaged 18.6 points, 7.1 rebounds per game, and 27.8 minutes per game off the bench.
Yeah, phenomenal. Now, when I saw him playing at Louisville, I didn't know he was going to become this player. If you say Montrezl Harrell is your sixth man of the year, I have no argument for that. I mean, that's your choice, and I don't think you're wrong. I'm just going to go with Dennis Schroeder. So, most improved player of the year, I think this one's interesting because there's a lot of worthy candidates. You can put Luka Doncic in this category.
I mean,
he's averaging like 29 points per game.
Is he ready to start going into MVP consideration?
He's in MVP considerations.
Okay,
there are odds on him to win MVP consideration. They're low, but he does get consideration.
Hasn't he had like the greatest statistical jump in the history from his freshman year to his sophomore season?
I believe that is correct.
There's no one comparable throughout the history of the NBA.
He's a very exciting player to watch. So originally I wanted to give this to Brandon Ingram. I had to start diving into the numbers and really looking at it and thinking about where we projected Brandon Ingram to be at this point in his career. We expected this type of play from Brandon Ingram. He's averaging 25, 26 points per game now. We expected this coming out of Duke.
Well, he has the skill set, the frame, the length in order to score from every level on the court. So maybe this is finally putting the pieces together, being in a situation where you're able to be one of the primary options.
He doesn't have somebody overshadowing him like a LeBron, which that might have halted his progress a little bit. But I went with the player from Miami who made his first All-Star team as well as Brandon Ingram, Bam Adebayo. When Bam Adebayo is from Indiana, I believe, correct? Did you expect this kind of play from Bam Adebayo?
I'd be lying if I said it.
And that's exactly why I went with Bam Adebayo. He went from averaging 8.9 points to 16 points. He went from 2.2 assists to 5.1 assists if we're comparing last season to this season. He went from 7 rebounds to 10 rebounds. He's shooting 57% from the field. He's made an overall huge impact on this playoff-ready Miami squad. So I'm gonna go with Bam Adebayo.
Okay. We'll see how the results come in on election night.
But who would you go with? You go with Brandon Ingram?
I'm gonna go with Ingram.
I think he's favored to win it too.
You can even say my guy Lonzo too. He's been getting better and better.
Lonzo's somewhere in there at the back of the conversation.
That jumper looking a lot better.
So defense wins games, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about Defensive Player of the Year. Third place, I'm gonna give it to Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a phenomenal defender. Steals the ball, can guard positions 1 through 5. Got a lot of length. He's a great defender. Then you got AD and you got Giannis.
I would think for me, I'm going to go with AD. He's averaging 2.4 blocks and 1.5 steals per game. And the one thing that jumps out to me, on top of those numbers, he's also contested the third most threes of any player in the league, which just goes and shows he's more than just a rim protector when it comes to defense.
Those are good numbers, as well as the Lakers were 14th last year in points allowed. Now they're 3rd. So Davis has definitely made a strong impact. He's a great defender. He can guard positions 1 through 5 as well. Now Giannis. I think Giannis is a more fluid defender. And what I mean by that, when you watch Giannis play defense, he looks like a very tall guard playing defense, as to AD looks like a big man playing defense, who can move his feet really well. But I think Giannis is just more athletic in that sense. So Giannis is leading the league in 3 defensive categories: individual defensive rating, second best defensive rebounding percentage in the league. He's the only non-center in the top 5 in both defensive rebound percentage and total rebound percentage. And Giannis leads the league in defensive field goal percentage in the restricted area, or the lane. And he's allowing only 51.7% shooting on field goals. So he protects the rim better than anyone in the league, according to all the metrics. So you factor in that. You factor in the way he plays hard on defense every single possession. Giannis is very, very tenacious. I think it's a no-brainer for me. Giannis Antetokounmpo is my Defensive Player of the Year. And that brings us to our league MVP. Giannis or LeBron? I'll make my case, and then you go ahead and make your case, because I think I know which way you're going to go.
LeBron, I'll give it to LeBron. Whatever. It's fine. I don't care. I know what you're going to do.
So Giannis is averaging 29 points per game, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists while only playing 30 minutes per game. That's astounding. And right there, that could probably just win the MVP for him if we're just going off numbers. And he also plays the type of defense night in and night out that would garner him that Defensive Player of the Year award. So yes, you could easily say that Giannis Antetokounmpo is the league's MVP. However, and I'm going to say it, and I don't care, LeBron is in his 17th season. He's 35 years old. So when you tell me that age doesn't matter, well, sure it does. Sure it does. He is an example for his younger teammates, how they should train, how they should eat, how they need to play this game. Because he's doing it at that high level at age 35 when you don't see people his age doing that.
So Jordan never did that? Jordan was not here just giving people the business at 35?
Was Jordan averaging 25, 10, and 8 at 35?
Did he need to?
LeBron's team is first in the West. They didn't even make the playoffs last season.
They better come home with that ring then if he's the best player in the league.
And it's not about who is putting up the best numbers. It's not about who is the best player in the league. It's about who's most valuable to their team. And for me, it's LeBron. If you take the Greek Freak off the Milwaukee Bucks squad, I feel like they're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to be a contender. They're going to make the playoffs. They have enough depth to make the playoffs. If you take LeBron off the Lakers, they maybe get the A spot, or it's just New Orleans Pelican, or it's just AD back in New Orleans again.
Man, when they need a cape, boy.
It's LeBron, man. It is LeBron. And I know everyone's like, well, you're biased. Well, yeah, okay. I might be biased, but at least he's playing good enough that gives my bias a case. So congratulations to all our MVPs, to all our award recipients. That is going to do it for the NBA regular season awards. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back with an excellent interview that you're not going to want to miss with Northwestern former point guard Juice Thompson. We'll be right back on All Net with Mike Logic and I.DEAL. All right, welcome back to the All Net podcast with Mike Logic and I.DEAL. Right now, I'd like to introduce our guest that we have the pleasure of speaking with. He was a great Chicago high school basketball player who then went on to play ball at Northwestern, and he is now a very accomplished professional overseas basketball player. He is none other than Michael Juice Thompson. Juice! How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? I'm good. How you guys doing? How you holding up?
Fantastic, man. Like Michael said, I just wanted to echo that. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be a part of this. We greatly appreciate it, man.
So what have you been up to?
No problem. Just trying to stay busy. I have 2 kids, 2 boys. One is 5, one is 2. So been trying to entertain them as best as I can and try to keep my sanity in by working out a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have you been able to get in the gym and get up shots at all?
Yeah, so I found a gym in Niles that, I'm working out. It's a lot of kids. There's like the kids camp. So I know the guy who trains them and runs it. So I just go up there with them at 7 in the morning and try to get in, as much work in as possible, then doing some things outside and everything. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. And I've played against a lot of really good shooters in my lifetime, especially in rec leagues. But when I saw you out there, you're like a cheat code, man. You don't miss.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's just from, all the work I put in. Now times are different gyms and then the courts outside, the rims were off for some time. But, when I do work out, I try to work out as much as possible, when time allows, and then to try to really key in and focus on my shooting ability.
So, Juice, this is I.DEAL. I just want to ask, you had a very accomplished career, obviously high school, local kid. Then you chose to go to Northwestern. You certainly had a lot of options there. And I just wanted to know what was that final decision for you that went that way? Because there's a lot of kids. Chicago's a pipeline of talent, and a lot of them choose to leave and go pursue their next level somewhere else. What made you choose Northwestern?
The main thing was, just getting that degree from that kind of university. I had an understanding of what that can do for my life, outside of and after basketball. And, it's close to home. And playing in the Big Ten, one of the best conferences in the world, I was pretty much told I was going to be given the keys to the offense, which I was. And from the first day, I was a starter. But, outside of basketball, it was just for things outside of basketball, trying to network with those alumni and just trying to put myself to be in a better position if basketball didn't work out.
And then what jumped out to me was when you said you came right in and they essentially gave you the keys to the offense and you started as a freshman. And that's, for anyone that's listening out there, those kids out there, that's a very hard feat to accomplish. There's always that that time you have to take from high school. You're the big shot, then you go to college, and sometimes you got to humble yourself because, you know, they got seniors and juniors ahead of you, and for you to come right in and take over like that, that's impressive for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something that I was proud of and able to do, but also just, you know, the relationship I established with coaches and the people who work with the basketball team and just the people that I met there. I felt like they genuinely cared about me, and that even if basketball wasn't going well, that they would, you know, take care of me and try to look out for me as if I was their own.
So you had a very good college career. You were at Northwestern from 2007 to 2011. What are some of your most memorable moments about your college career?
What stands out the most was my junior year when we beat Purdue at home. They were ranked number 6 in the country. And, you know, we happened to win. I played a really good game. I think I had 20 points. And what stood out the most was just how we got to interact with the fans after they stormed the court. So, I mean, growing up, you always see that, you know, colleges, somebody hitting a big shot or you beating a nationally ranked team and fans storming the court. And then it actually got to happen. So when that happened, I just tried to embrace that moment as much as possible. I still watch videos of it to this day. So that's the thing that stands out the most.
Is that on YouTube?
No, someone has it on Facebook, so I can go to Facebook and share it with you all if you like.
Absolutely. Please do.
Yeah. It was nice, but I'm sorry to cut you off. Something that is on YouTube that also stands out for my college career. In the Big Ten tournament, I set the record for most points in the game, 35 points. So obviously when you go off for a game like that and then you win, that just makes it more special.
Yeah, man, you were hooping.
Appreciate that.
Man, I want to know, though, a lot of athletes always say they had that one guy, that one dude that gave them fits out there. Was there anyone in your college career you're like, every time I had to go up against him, I knew I was in a battle all day?
I would say Kalen Lucas from Michigan State. I think he's playing in the G League now, but his speed, athleticism, and his understanding of the game at that age was just second to none. He knew how to change paces. He could shoot the three, beat you off the dribble. He was a complete player at that age. And it's like, as a freshman going on up, he just continued to get better. So he was the one guy in college. I was like, yeah, not looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, I remember Kalen. So let me ask you, after college, what were your options? Did you have an agent that was getting you workouts with NBA teams for the draft, or did you kind of already have it in your mind that you might be playing overseas?
I mean, I had it in my mind that it was always, you know, a great possibility that I would go overseas. But, I mean, this story is kind of unique with my agent. So I signed with an agent maybe a week after my college career ended, and things didn't work out with him. So after like the first 2 months, I fired him and I got with another agent. But throughout that process, I did have some workouts with some NBA teams. Went out to LA and worked out in front of a decent amount of NBA teams. And, you know, I just wasn't getting the feedback that led me to believe that I would get drafted or anything. And that was the lockout season as well. So I just pretty much knew I would go over to Europe.
And going over to Europe, was there a culture shock? I mean, I want to know, like, that regard, just going to another country. Does that jump out?
It was a major culture shock for me. I mean, I already went to Europe the year before with my university to play some games and scrimmage. But, I mean, it was like you're with people that you're comfortable with, that you know. And that first week I went over to Frankfurt, Germany, you know, for my season. I remember calling my mom, my dad, saying I want to come home. It's just me. But I eventually stuck with it, got along with some teammates, and kind of got acclimated to the culture and the way that they go about things. And it ended up being a really, really good time.
I would imagine the travel in itself is a major shock. You were playing for a Big Ten university, like, you know, and now you're over there and you're like, I'm sure there's like a lot of long bus rides probably, how they get around over there.
Yeah, and sometimes I've been on a team where we've been on a bus for 12 hours, but the buses, they have like the seats that turn into beds.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
It sounds like it's not, but once you're on there, it's like, because it's two rows, so it's like you're still on top of each other. And you know, I'm only 5'9". I'm playing with people that's 6'10", 6'11", and if you're sitting next to one of them, it's like, oh, you cramped up for so long. And
yeah, I don't even like being on a flight for 2 hours, so I understand what you're saying. 12 hours, no.
I wanted to get your thoughts on since you're currently over there playing overseas. There's like a major trend happening recently where a lot of kids are leaving after high school and they're electing to not take that 1 year in the NCAA and they're going to go play overseas in Europe. Do you think at 18 years old would you have been able to do that? And just your general thoughts on that, I was wondering.
No, I know I wouldn't have been able to do it. I mean, to this day, I'm still the biggest mama's boy in the world. And that was also one of the reasons I went to Northwestern. It was 10 minutes away from where my parents live in Rogers Park. So I'm like, I'll have my mom here if anything goes wrong. So I finally stepped away when I went to Germany when I was 22 years old. But at the age of 18, me personally, no, I couldn't do it unless someone came to live with me.
So in 2016, you won the French League Scoring Championship. How cool was that for you? Were there incentives in your contract that said if you won an MVP or a scoring title that you would be rewarded for that? How did that go?
That season, I did not have those kind of bonuses. I only had team bonuses that year. But just the way I was playing throughout that year, I mean, that just led me to go to a better league and, you know, a bigger salary and everything. And just that whole season that was the most fun I've had, not just from a basketball standpoint, but outside of basketball and being in that city in France and living in the South and the way the fans treated me and my family. It was the greatest year I've had playing basketball.
You're listening to the All Net Podcast with MIC LOGIK and I.DEAL. We are talking with Michael Juice Thompson. So, So let me ask you, I seen that you've played for quite a few teams. What's the contracts like over there? Do they not assign long-term deals? How are things handled over there as far as how long people play for teams for?
They do multi-year deals. Usually if there's, you know, in Europe, those guys start playing professionally at the age of 17, 18. So for someone like that, they're considered projects. So they may sign them for 5 or 6 years. Whereas someone like me, some teams may offer you a 2-year or 3-year deal with the option of if you want to leave at the end of the season, pay a fee, or if they want you to leave, you know, they'll pay you a fee. So it's multi-year contracts, but a lot of guys from my experience, they most of the time sign a 1-year deal just to get a feel for the city, for the coach, to see, you know, if that's somewhere they would like to stay long term.
I wanted to know, Mike, once you finally got that professional and you're on that level, what was that first purchase you made either for yourself or somebody that, you know, that's significant, you know, part of your life? What was that first major purchase you got?
Oh man, I guess it's like the stereotype or whatever, but I went to the Gucci store. I went straight there. As soon as the first check came, I went, because I'm getting me a belt, the shirt, the shoes, everything that matches. And then, you know, when my mother came, I took her there and took her shopping.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that was the first thing, but wouldn't do that now. But man, I enjoyed it. So.
Man, you know, this is all basketball and we're talking about. I'm wondering what your thoughts are. How excited are you about the NBA restart?
Oh man, I'm super excited. I mean, the Last Dance was the last, you know, thing that we had to look forward to basketball wise. So now that this started, I've been locked in watching, and it's just so exciting to see these players. And a lot of these guys, just you can tell that they've been training and staying ready. And it's exciting. I'm happy to have it back.
So, in your opinion, who is the NBA MVP this season?
In my opinion, LeBron James is the NBA MVP this season.
Thank you.
Year 17, doing what he's doing.
25,
unmatched.
10 and 8.
Yeah. And then when you see when he's not in the game with the Lakers, things change. I mean, Anthony Davis, his stats are better, but he's not running that team and leading that team the way that LeBron is. And Giannis, he has Middleton. He's an all-star, averaging, 20.8 points a game, something like that. You can't say that, you know, it's just him doing it out there by himself.
Okay, so since you answered LeBron for that question, I kind of think I know where you're going to go with this answer, but who do you think wins the championship?
The Lakers. I felt that way all year. I said the Lakers were going to win before the quarantine, and I'm saying they're going to win after. Because, I mean, LeBron, you know, he's locked in and focused the way he leads, by example, vocal. and he's working out. Those guys look good. So, and I think J.R. Smith is a real good addition to them too.
Yeah, and they got Deion Waiters as well.
Yeah, yep.
I think the Lakers are going to win as well.
Yeah, they have a lot of depth.
So let me ask you this: you being a Chicago guy, I'm sure you follow the Chicago Bulls. What do you think of the direction that the team is taking?
I feel like it's still going bad. I mean, a lot of guys were saying that they're not happy playing there with that coach. I personally don't like the way they handle Kobe White, and I understand, like, I'm not the coach or running things, but the guy's coming off the bench. He's giving you 25 here, 25 there, and it's clearly he's the best option that you have at that position. He should have played more, but I like some of the pieces that they have there, but I just don't know if they have the right staff to lead them.
For me, it's like
big.
What are you doing? You're still holding on to the coach. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious to everybody out there. You have to move in a new direction.
Exactly, yeah. Everybody's bashing them, and there's still people. I just don't.
So what's next for Juice Thompson? Are you going to keep playing overseas, let's say in France, until they build a statue of you like they did for Marbury in China? Like, what are your future plans?
I'm not big like Marbury in China or anything, but I definitely want to continue to play for a couple more years, 2 or 3 more years, and after that, I would like to get into coaching. I still keep in contact with college coaches that I've met over the years, and I would actually like to coach Division I men's basketball when I'm done playing.
Awesome, man. Hey, so we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. Best of luck with the rest of your career, your endeavors. I hope you end up being a Division I college coach. Really, really awesome to have you on the show. From myself and I.DEAL, we really thank you.
That's what's up, man. Thanks a lot, Juice, and you take care, all right?
Thanks a lot, Juice.
You too. Be safe. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for episode 4 of the All Net Podcast with Mike Logic and I.DEAL. We got to thank our special guest, Juice Thompson, for stopping through, as well as our producer in the spotlight, DREAMTEK. Thanks again, guys. And I.DEAL, I want to wish you a happy birthday. May this be the greatest year of your life yet.
It can hopefully only get better from here on out.
Anything you want to say before we leave?
Make sure you tune in on to Shy Native Radio on Tuesday for the birthday extravaganza.
That's it, guys. Check in next time. Till then, swish.